Let's talk about mentorship versus sponsorship today. Not the framework version, not the version someone wrote on a LinkedIn post about. The version that plays out inside real organizations where you follow the advice, do the work, play by the rules someone handed you, and the outcome still doesn't arrive. I want to tell you three things that happened to me because I think you will recognize at least one of them. And if you do, stay with me because the second half of this video is about what actually moves the needle. Welcome to Soulfire Leadership, where we talk about what it actually feels like to lead at a senior level. The parts you're navigating alone because probably nobody in your environment is naming them. Hello, I'm Amanda L. Christian. I spent 33 years leading inside global banking and technology. I led global teams, built and moved data centers, co-wrote the disaster recovery plan for technology, and actually had to execute it twice, November 11th and Hurricane Floyd. I'm the author of my upcoming book, Soulfire Leadership, the leadership model women were never taught, and I coach high-achieving senior leaders in finance and technology. Many things happened to me over those 33 years. I'm going to tell you three of them. I was mid-career, a senior executive I reported to, a smart man, experienced, generally trying to help, gave me a piece of advice in one of our meetings. Something to the effect of step up more, take on more visibility, be more present in the rooms that matter. My immediate internal reaction was, well, that works for you. You see, I was a single mom. I had an elderly parent who needed my support. I was already managing everything: the job, the house, my son's homework, the lawn, the groceries, all the things. There was no margin. There was no one at home managing the household so I could take on a stretch assignment. There was no weekend golf game that was actually a networking event in disguise. He had all that. His wife stayed home. His weekends were his. He wasn't wrong exactly because visibility matters. But the advice was built on a foundation he couldn't see because he had never had to see it. He was navigating from a map that assumed a life I was not living. And I implemented it anyway because I respected him. And questioning advice from someone further up felt a little like arrogance. And I had been told my whole career to be careful about how I came across. So I overrode the signal. I applied the advice. And I spent years wondering why the effort and the outcome weren't matching. Earlier in my career, I asked for a meeting with my manager. He was the head of technology. I came prepared. I had done the work. I had outlined specifically what I could bring to certain higher level roles: the qualities, the experience, the case for why I was ready. I wasn't asking for a favor. I was making a business case for my own career. He told me to just keep doing what you're doing. Your time will come. I had already been doing that for years. What I felt in that moment wasn't anger. It was something quieter and harder. I felt dismissed, deflated. The slow understanding that despite everything I had built and delivered, I wasn't being considered the way I assumed I was. I was, in essence, just a worker bee, a reliable one, but not someone whose trajectory was being actively managed or advocated for. I walked out of that meeting with the advice still ringing in my ears and no path forward. Later in my career, ERG groups were being rapidly expanded. My manager suggested I take a leadership role in our area's Women in Technology ERG. The pitch was to get visibility, getting in front of the right people, exactly what I had been told I needed. My immediate thought was, okay, but where will this actually take me? How much time will it cost? But I pushed that aside and said yes. I was assigned to the committee and given responsibility for building and maintaining the website, a resource hub for members, event announcements, and information for the group. Another woman was supposed to co-lead that piece with me. She unfortunately had multiple illnesses and ended up going out on leave. The named leaders canceled meetings at the last minute repeatedly over months. Meanwhile, I had done calendar Tetris every single time to make myself available. I was the only one rearranging everything to be there. I eventually became the de facto leader without the title, without the recognition, without any formal support. I was carrying the work and someone else was holding the credit yet again. And I kept going because I had been told this was the path to visibility. Then I was on a call. The named co-leaders were being commended for what the group had accomplished. People were thanking them. Nobody said my name. The visibility never materialized. The map had been wrong the entire time, and I had followed it anyway because I didn't yet have language for what I was navigating. So 3 different moments, 3 different decades, the same underlying pattern. The advice was given sincerely every single time. None of those people were trying to steer me wrong, but every piece of advice was built on a foundation they couldn't see. A set of circumstances, a version of the world, a map that was drawn for someone who wasn't carrying what I was carrying. And here's what I want you to sit with. Every time I knew something was off, that internal signal, the one, where I was thinking, well, that works for you, and also asking, okay, but where will this actually take me? Just keep doing what I've already been doing for years. I felt all of it because the system I was inside had no language for what I was experiencing, which made me think the experience wasn't real. That internal signal is not imposter syndrome. It is calibration. It is you accurately reading the gap between the map you have been handed and the territory you're actually crossing. The problem is not this signal. The problem is most of us have been socialized to distrust it. And here's the structural piece underneath all 3 of those stories. A mentor gives you advice. A sponsor puts you in the room where it matters. A mentor counsels you privately. A sponsor advocates for you publicly. At the table, where budgets are decided, where succession conversations happen, where your name is either in the discussion or isn't. A mentor improves your thinking. A sponsor expands your visibility among the people who have the actual authority to advance your career. Most leaders are guided towards mentorship. Most leaders need sponsorship. What changed my trajectory earlier in my career was not advice. It was the moment a senior leader started inviting me into rooms, vouching for me repeatedly, to people who had never seen me operate. There is no equivalent to it. This week, identify one person in your network who has navigated what you are navigating. Not someone successful in your industry in general. Someone who has been a senior leader in a male-dominated organization, felt the specific ground you are standing on, and came out the other side. Ask them one question. What do you know now that you wish someone had told you when you were where I am? That conversation is worth more than a year of advice from someone whose map was drawn on a different terrain. Ask yourself, does the map match the territory I'm actually crossing? If the answer is not a clear yes, ask yourself what it would mean to stop following directions designed for someone else's route. That is the question I wish someone had handed me decades earlier. If this names something you've been navigating, please subscribe. I post every Wednesday. This is exactly the kind of conversation we have here every week. And if you want to look at your specific situation, the advice you have been following, where it has served you and where it hasn't, I have a private strategy call. The link is in the description below. It is just a conversation, just you, me, and whatever you're actually navigating right now. I'll see you next Wednesday.